place where minds collide. Annie and Carrie gonna be your guide. Psychic wonders and spiritual delight will unveil the mysteries in the light. Tune your senses, sharpen your mind. Feel the energy, let your soul unwind. Tarot cards and angels' wings. Sound healing makes your spirit sing. Mind, body, soul connection strong. Find your peace where you belong. Meditate, elevate, discover ways to brighten up your darkest days. Energy flowing through your veins. Unlock your power, break the chains. With Annie and Carrie on this ride, discover the universe inside. Healing words in crystal glow, guiding through the ebb and flow. Feel the love that we impart. Awaken the magic in your heart. Mind, body, soul connection strong. Find your peace where you belong. Meditate, elevate, discover ways to brighten up your darkest days. Mind, body, soul connection strong. Find your peace where you belong. Meditate, elevate, discover ways to brighten up your darkest days.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Veronica. Hi, Ray. Hi, Gail. We've got a few people on. I'm not getting all the comments, but we've got a few people on with us.
Yes.
Welcome, welcome. Beautiful sunny Sunday day. We're very excited. We're very excited.
Is that when I say jinxed? Paul, thank you for joining us.
This is our special guest and one of my brand new friends, which is very exciting. Let me get rid of this. Hi, Anessa. Paul and Marina run the Soul Cauldron, and the Soul Cauldron is in Brisbane Street in Ipswich, and they're the owners and managers and operators in there. And it's the most glorious space. It's in the old flour mill building, and I work out of there every second Friday. And it's a dreadful place because they keep buying pretty new shiny things. And then I don't think there's been a week where I have gone and not come home with something else.
Yeah. That's the problem. I don't think I've ever been there and been able to do so many pretty things.
Yes. They've actually got, Paul will be able to clarify this. They've got these beautiful, beautiful like sculpture things that they import from England. And I've never seen them anywhere else. And they're absolutely glorious. They've got kitty cats. So we can't let Kerry go there because they've got kitty cats. So, yes.
Anything kitty cat. Oh, so Paul, we were so excited that you said you'd be happy to come along and join us tonight.
Well, thanks for inviting me on. I'm glad to be here.
So,
it's an absolute pleasure.
So usually what we do is we normally would do a meditation just at the beginning, join everyone's energy together as part of the group online with us.
Yep.
And I think Annie's got a meditation, just a short one for us to go through tonight. Is that right, Annie?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I thought I remembered that correctly.
Yeah, this is our preparation and planning. Annie, have you got a meditation? Yes, I have. Good, done. That's our organisation. Oh, it's not the woolen mill, my sweet. It's the old flour mill.
Well, yeah.
and it's top of the town in Brisbane
Mhm.
Street. You got to go up and round because it's a one-way street, and parking is atrocious. But
It is.
yeah, it is. It's dreadful. A lot of people actually park up the hill at McDonald's and walk down, cut down
I've
through the
I've
lane.
always got one. As you go to do that loop, there's that little side street that you can go
Yeah,
down. I've always got a spot right there
yeah.
in that.
It's a good one because it's 3 hour parking.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
It's probably the
It's
biggest
also
complaint.
the dangerous one because it's 3 hour parking. That means
Yeah,
I've got
lots of
3 hours.
stopping time.
yeah. But
Lots and
yeah, it's
lots of
probably
stopping time.
probably the biggest complaint we have in the shop is the parking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we should probably get this party started.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you would all like to just get comfortable, relax, breathe, shut your eyes for me, and I will start your meditation. Breathe in and relax. Let your shoulders drop and release any tension in your muscles. Breathe in again. You've got nowhere to go, nothing to do, nowhere to be. Imagine a column of white light coming up from the Earth's core. The light comes up through the soles of your feet and surrounds you, traveling up through your legs, through your pelvis and torso, into your heart space. Breathe in the white light and feel the energy expanding all around you. Take the column of light up through your back to your shoulders and neck. Continue up through the top of your head where it becomes a beautiful ball of energy. This energy surrounds you, and every breath you take makes it grow bigger and wider. Look up and feel your body lifting as you follow the light up through the top of your head. You glide effortlessly up through the roof, past the treetops, and up into the night sky. The stars are like glitter, glowing and sparkling all around you. You continue upwards, and as you look around, you pass a beautiful meadow with people and beings enjoying the sun, sitting among the flowers, meditating and resting. You continue your journey upwards and find yourself going through a library with people sitting at tables, reading or writing or browsing the shelves. Looking up, you see a beautiful white space. You step out of your column of light into this space. There are beings around you. There are beautiful, beautiful stained glass windows. It's reflecting the light, and there are beautiful colors dancing on the white space around you. There are couches to sit on, beautiful crystals, gold artifacts, and many things you've never seen before. You may choose to sit down, to talk to someone, or to explore. Have a look around your surroundings. If you have any questions, your questions will be answered here. I will leave you here and come back for you shortly. It's time to come back now. Have a last look around. Feel the peace and the love and the glorious lights that are surrounding you. If you've had a chat with someone, thank them for being there and being with you. You find yourself gliding effortlessly back down, and you pass through the library. Down, 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 and you pass through the beautiful meadow. Coming down even further, you're coming through the night sky, watching the stars sparkle and twinkle. Continuing down past the treetops and back into this space. When you are ready, wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, and gently open your eyes. Are we back?
Thank you, Annie.
Pleasure.
I'm done. Is that it?
That was quick. Thank you, Paul. Well, this was Paul, and it was lovely having you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not allowed to be done.
No, not at all. We've only just begun, Paul.
There's a song about
only
that.
just begun.
Yeah.
Okay. What we're here to talk about is Paul's book that he's just written and published. The book is called I Energy. Oh, thank you, Kerry. And the writer is the beautiful Paul A. Knox. And I bought it and read it and then passed it on to Kerry because I knew she would love it too.
Mhm.
And it's been a journey for Paul writing this book. So, Paul, what was your inspiration for your writing?
Well, I'll sort of start at the beginning, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from when I was young, I was always fascinated with the mysteries of the world and all different forms of spirituality. And when I was a kid, I was fascinated with spirits and haunted places and UFOs and Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, all those sort of things. But
Mhm.
as I got older, I sort of become more interested in who we are as spiritual beings and how we operate in the world as spiritual beings. And a lot of that came from when I was around 19, 20, I lost a couple of really, really close people to me. And so that sort of inspired me. And I became obsessed with finding out the truth of who we are, you know. And so I started to read a bit more along those sort of lines. But I also wanted to find, if I could, information that underpins like spirituality, but not only that, but also grounds spirituality and the metaphysical side of things into the physical earth, just to help understand it a bit more. So I started to read different spiritual books, and I started in these books I was reading. I started to read about scientific experiments that were done that actually backed up what I've always believed in spiritually, and also even comments and quotes from scientists that back everything up. And I thought, it blew me away, because I thought, holy shit, there's actually science that
Mhm.
that actually backs up everything I've always believed in. So I just sort of kept going down that path, and then the more I learned, the more I wanted to share it with people, because I just thought, man, if people knew this information, it would help them understand the truth of who they are and the truth of how we operate in the world. So yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons that Marina and I opened the shop. But that was the inspiration behind the book. I wanted to write it and to try and get it out there, because I really do believe it can help people. especially if they're on a spiritual journey and they're curious about who they are. But the funny thing is, I was never interested in science in the slightest. And then I started to read about these experiments, and it just blew me away. I thought, holy crap, it backs up everything I've always believed in. So yeah, that's where it all came from. And we can talk a bit about those experiments if you want to, or whatever you want to talk
Yeah,
about.
I was going to say that. You know, like
Yeah.
a lot of this kind of spiritual stuff people see as airy fairy.
Yeah.
And one of the things I got from reading your book is that this has been out here and there've been all these experiments and there's been all this stuff. And somehow or another, it's been squished because
Been
people
suppressed.
in power don't want you to know that you have the power and that this
No.
stuff is real. It scares them. So if
Yeah.
you'd like to talk about some of because it really validates that what we do is real and not airy fairy. We're not like spiritual Barbies. It's actually
No.
real scientific stuff that's been hidden and buried.
Absolutely. And this information, like I said, I wanted to, even though I knew within myself what the truth was, for me to share it with friends and family or people that were interested, I wanted to learn what would ground that into physical reality, and science. I didn't. It just blew me away that was out there. And it's been suppressed. And even Albert Einstein, one of his quotes said, "The more I study physics, the more I believe in God." So, and all these scientists knew. You can tell by their quotes, they knew the truth of things, but they just didn't. They couldn't come out and say it because they'd be black banned. You know, they'd probably lose their jobs and everything back in the day. You know, so it's all been suppressed, and that's why I like. That's why I like ancient practices like positive witchcraft and Wicca, positive paganism. It's nothing to do with black magic and all that sort of stuff. You can practice anything in a good way or a bad way, but all of those practices give you back the power. They give you self-empowerment, whereas a lot of mainstream religions I've found personally takes that power away and gives it to someone else. But even in the Bible, I've read the Bible a bit too, and I've read how spiritual teachers interpret some of the teachings in a different way, and it really makes sense spiritually when you interpret it in what I believe is a proper way that it's meant to be interpreted. Because that's another thing that was infiltrated and corrupted by the powers that be. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So you guys so just to get back on with the scientific part of it. So you guys and most of your audience, if not all of your audience, would know that we live within an ocean of energy. That there's nothing outside of this energy, and it's not just an energy that's out there somewhere. There's an intelligence and an awareness within that energy, and it permeates the universe. It permeates all of us. It's what all of creation is birthed from, and there's even scientific experiments that shows that, and some people over the centuries, people have given it different names. Some people call it God, some people call it source energy, some people call it universe, some people call it the mind of God. Ancient traditions call it the Great Spirit. Quantum physicists call it the quantum field, but it's all the same thing. It's all. Sorry, I've had a bit of a cold.
Yeah.
It's all just it's a conscious energy that permeates the universe. And so I started to think, well, why were we taught that's not true? Why were we taught that there's no such thing as an energy that permeates the universe, and we don't live within an ocean of energy? And I read this experiment which pretty much answered that question. And the first time I read it was in a book called The Divine Matrix by Greg Braden. And so back in 1887, there was two scientists by the name of Albert Michelson and Edward Morley. And they came up with an idea for an experiment that would prove one way or another, whether or not we live within an ocean of energy and whether this energy permeates the universe. So their idea was they figured that if there was the ether, as they called it, if the ether exists, then as the Earth spins and makes its way around the sun, as it goes, it must leave a movement or a ripple within the ether. And they thought if they could, and they called that the ether wind. And they thought if they could detect the ether wind, then they could prove that it exists. So, so what they done was they shot 2 light rays towards a target, and they shot one which they thought would go with the ether wind, and one which they thought would go against the ether wind. And it's a bit like, so the experiment's a bit like flying a plane. So if you fly a plane with the air current, you'll get to your destination a lot faster than if you fly against it. So they shot these 2 light rays towards a target, and if they could detect a time difference between the 2 light rays hitting their target, then that would mean they detected the ether wind, because if they both hit the target at exactly the same time, it would mean there's nothing there. So the light rays aren't traveling through anything. So they completed their experiment, but they didn't detect any time delay between the 2 light rays hitting their targets. And so from what I understand, this had huge consequences in the future. So from what I read and understood, because of this, everyone started to be taught that there's no such thing as the ether, there's no such thing as energy that permeates the universe. Everything is solid, everything is separate, and that's the way it is. But that wasn't Michelson and Morley's fault. That was just, they come up with that conclusion, they shared it, and they were only working with the equipment they had at the time. But then fast forward to 1986, and another scientist by the name of E.W. Silvertooth performed this same experiment, but it was funded by the US Air Force, actually. They funded this experiment, and he did detect the ether wind, because, you know, he had more advanced equipment, more sensitive equipment, and he detected it. So that shows that we do live within an ocean of energy. There is an energy that permeates the universe and everything in it. And so that, so to me, that's the first step of understanding the truth of who we are and how we operate. First, you have to understand that we live within this energy, and it's proven scientifically as well.
Yeah.
And then the next step is to say, well, how does that affect us in our life? Like, how do we fit into that? And yeah, so I can sort of talk about that too, if you like. But do you guys have any questions? Or
Yeah. No, there was a part in the book I wish I had of. See, I normally, not my book to put marks in. So I didn't, and I should have marked it in here, where you just give this most beautiful explanation of the connection of everything, explaining omnipresent, I'm going to say that wrong,
omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent.
Yeah, that's right, and
Yeah.
omnipotent. And I just thought the explanation of those 3 was just such a beautiful way to explain that connection to the energy around us. Do you want to touch a little bit on that, Paul?
Yeah. So this the energy that we live in, that everything lives in, that everything's created from, this conscious, it's a being, really. It's a conscious energy being. So so to start with, Albert Einstein said energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. So all the energy that exists, and I'll explain later how we're energy as well, but all the energy that exists in the universe, and all the energy that will ever exist, exists now, and it's always been here, because energy can't be created or destroyed.
Yeah.
And so, because everything is created from this energy, it's omnipotent. it's omnipresent, it's omnipotent, and it's omniscient, because it's the power of all creation. Everything is created from it. And because everything is created from it, it's aware of all its creations. And that's because energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. So, and that's why that's why you hear spiritual teachers say a lot, we're all one. There's no separation. Everything is one. That's because, again, energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. And it changes form by vibration. So whatever, things are more solid because they vibrate lower. Things are more energy because they vibrate higher. We're different because we've got a different energy signature. But Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, you have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's everything. And everything is that, even your thoughts, your dreams, your desires, everything. So that's because everything comes from that one energy. That's why everything is all those things. It's omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. It's everything. And it's like you can feel and what the fingers on your hands doing, even though the fingers seem separate, but they're not. They're all part of your body. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I just,
it's because, yeah.
I love that. And I love the connection of the quantum physics, because it's something I've always seen, is that the more they drifted into quantum physics, the more it actually proved everything we know about connecting with the energy, reading the energy, and working with the energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I love that. And I love how you've incorporated so many of those different research aspects that you've already undertaken into how you're explaining I energy in your book. Yeah.
Yeah. And I tried to stay conscious through the book of keeping it grounded. So when I started talking about manifestation and the law of attraction, I still tried to put a quote in there, say from Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein, one of his quotes, one of my favorite quotes of his is, he said, everything is energy and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And he said, match the frequency of the reality you want and you can't help but get that reality. And he said, this isn't philosophy, this is physics.
And
so
now
they all knew it.
And now I don't want to give away too much of your book, but guys, you really should be reading this whole book, and I'll put the links in for you a bit later. But for all the people that ask Annie and I in readings, am I going to meet someone?
Yeah.
There was a little part in Paul's book where he actually quoted the response. Now, I can't remember whose advice this was, and it was going back hundreds of years ago, about visualizing the perfect partner or the perfect marriage.
Yeah, that was Neville.
And, visualizing the what it is to you, bringing it down to a single symbol, say like the wedding ring, and then visualize yourself actually touching and turning the ring on your finger with the level of gratitude for the relationship, for how good the marriage is, the connection, etc., and doing that so that that's what you're bringing into your reality.
Exactly.
So, hint and tip for all the people that ask us someone coming in, start using that method.
Yeah,
you'll still get the book and read the full explanation about it.
Yeah, and
the thing about
sorry, Annie. Yeah,
the thing about what the background information does, and there's a lot of stuff in your book. Kerry knows I work on. I don't think. I just work on pure instinct, and I do stuff. That's how I operate. It's how I've always operated. There's no thought process. Miss Analysis Paralysis beside me, she's my research queen. She does all the background stuff. I just operate on this is how it happens. And we've been. I didn't understand. Like I just do it. Reading your book, it was like all these light bulb moments. It was like, oh shit, that's why I do that. And instinctively, there's stuff in there that I know.
Yeah.
And that I've been doing for years. And there's tons of stuff in that book that we've been teaching people. We use different words and we don't have, well, I don't have the scientific background to say this is how or why. And like, I love the hows and the whys. I never teach it. Like, I just throw balls at people and expect them to catch it and run with it. I don't complicate things. For me, it's keep it simple, stupid. But we've been teaching all these things for years and years and years. But to get that grounding in science to say it's actually real, you can. It's like when we do readings, we're channeling our energy into that energy of that person.
Yeah.
And it's because we can hit the same energy level, vibration level. And that's why we get all that information. We're
That's
also
right.
channeling, as we raise our energy, our guides and spirits and angels lower theirs to meet our energy. So we're like this channel, radio channel, you know, so all we need to do is tune it in, and then all of a sudden you get all this information. And like I say, most of this for me was instinctual. But, you know, that, like, you've got remote viewing in your book. You've got astral travel in your book. There's science that backs all of that as well. And a lot of the stuff that you've talked about, it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know why I did that. But now I know why I did that, because, and some of this stuff I thought I invented that. Some scientist in 1,000 years ago came up with it.
A couple of 100 years ago. I know.
But I think what's happening at the moment, and I think it's timely that this is when you chose to release this, because I think 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it wouldn't be as accepted as it is now, because I think with what you're talking about is that one consciousness. I think more and more and more we're coming together. And I think there's many, many more people now recognizing that. It's like we're now, a lot of Western world is individual culture and individualization and individualism, whereas a lot of the tribes and the you know, the ancients and all that, it was a collective culture. And it wasn't, I'm all right, Jack. That's how it was. That's how capitalism works. And now I think we've flipped that, and we're going back to that collective culture.
Yeah, definitely.
And all the human consciousness, we're all, Kerry and I were talking about this the other day. It just feels like everybody's getting on the same level. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of us that are now doing the same stuff, talking the same stuff, and
receiving the same information and in the same time frame. And that ancient, you know, you mentioned before, Paul, too, that ancient knowledge is coming back. It's interesting because we were talking a little bit about that when we were talking about what's happening with AI plus ancient knowledge coming back through. You know, that was a different topic. But this ancient wisdom that's coming back, we stopped saying it's an awakening, everyone's waking up, right? A long time ago now. We've been calling it the remembering. Yeah. Because we're actually remembering who we truly are.
Absolutely. We know that on a soul level. We know the truth, but you know, it's just, as humans, we tend to, and we're taught this in society and education systems, and we're taught to look outside of ourselves to find the answers, and to believe whatever we're told, you know, a lot of the time. But and there's a lot of people that don't. You know, there's a lot of people that have their whole lives have always gone against the mainstream everything, and because it doesn't feel right. And that's the way we're meant to operate in the world. We're a soul who's having a temporary physical experience. You know, this isn't who we are. This is just a vehicle used to get around in the physical realm. And even God said in the Bible, Jesus in the Bible said, and just by the way, did you know that the letter J wasn't even invented until about 400 or 500 years ago? So Jesus' real name is Yeshua.
Yeah, that's right.
J didn't even exist, the letter. Yeah. So there's so many things in the Bible that are different words have been changed, sentences have been taken out, things have been turned around to seem something different. But even in the Bible, there's a part there where Jesus was about to be stoned to death for saying basically that he was God in the flesh. And he turned to his accusers and he said, "Is it not written in your laws that I have said you are gods?" And why did he say that? Because once again, energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form or the other. So in reality, we're all the creator having a physical experience
Yeah.
in a physical realm. But we're all the one. We all come from the one energy. And that's why ancient indigenous cultures have always taught we're all one. There's no separation. Everything comes from the one creator. Even a rock has a spirit, you know,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's the reason why. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Look, I think of that often because Jesus and, Yeshua, I was told a while ago it's the name in a way when you're referring to what he was teaching at the time
Yeah.
is important. It'd be like someone calling me by my wrong name. So my guides corrected me a while back with that. So I've been doing my best to change how I refer to him. But
Yeah.
it was teaching that energy connection, teaching that the source was within, and showing us the way to connect with that and connect with the energy. So miracles, healing, etc., rather
Yeah.
than the indoctrination side of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And because we're an extension of the creator, we're
Mm.
an extension of that creative power, but it's been suppressed because the people that run this world, they know the truth of who we are, and they know that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So they get us to focus on things that they want to create because they know that we don't know the truth of who we are, and they know how powerful we really are. And they know that we don't know that. So that's why on TV you'll see, and all these places are all owned by the same people, like
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, the mainstream media. It all comes back. Like Zuckerberg might be the face of Facebook, but he didn't own it. The
Yeah.
CIA invented Facebook, and they
Well,
just
yeah,
plonked him
that's
in
right.
there. They just
Like
plonked
the
him in
good
there.
old
Yeah,
LifeLog that
yeah,
became LifeLog that became Facebook.
yeah.
How do
Oh,
we get
actually, I
people to
shouldn't.
volunteer all their personal and private information? Let us step into their lives. Oh, this is how we
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah. Sorry, I probably shouldn't mention too much of that because I
Yeah,
forgot
I
we're on
just think
Facebook.
we're on Facebook.
Yeah, sorry,
We love
sorry.
Facebook.
Yeah, we'll stick to the energy stuff. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
what I find really interesting though is that there are like some countries, um, Sweden is one of them. China, funnily enough, is another one, where the children at the moment now start the day with meditation. They have a meditation in the morning to focus
that's
so that they can
fantastic.
focus on their lessons. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Sweden is another one. They've embraced this, that if you can calm the farm with these children by getting them to, and it's the same as what we do. It's like that collective energy. We join everybody together because
Yeah,
together we're much stronger and much more
Mm-hmm.
powerful than we are as an individual. So they've got these kids all doing this meditation and calming themselves down, and then
yeah,
they're teachable,
Mm-hmm.
because when they're all over the place and their heads full of broken bottles, they're very
yeah,
difficult to teach. But to teach little people, and there's little tiny kindy kids
Mm.
yeah,
meditating, like itty bitty kids, 2-year-olds,
yeah.
3-year-olds. And
Absolutely.
if we had done that, if you think back to what you were talking about the indigenous people of all countries, their life revolved around the seasons,
Yeah,
and it revolved around the sun, and it revolved around the earth, the natural, the crops, all that kind of stuff. It was really, really simple. And
Yeah.
then all this stuff happened, and we've got like so much gimme, 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 and I want and I need, and capitalism, and we all need this and we all need that and we all need the other. And the truth of the matter is, if we could just get rid of all of that and go back to natural practices, and it's what Kerry said, so many people are now remembering. And
yeah,
the government, I've been reading a lot of stuff at the moment that just makes me cranky. But what's
Mm-hmm.
happening now is that people have wakened up. And
yeah,
that's why I think it's really timely that this is when you chose to put this book out. Because I'm reading all this stuff, some media outlet like 7, 9, and 10 are all saying the same shit at the moment. And there's
yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of people going, oh, not again. Like,
Yeah.
no way. That we're not going to be fooled again. You can't do this to us. We don't trust anybody anymore. We don't trust
Yeah.
the government. We don't trust anybody. You can all go and get nicked because they're
Exactly.
waking up and they're realizing that they're being manipulated.
Yeah.
What scares me, Paul, is that they're dumbing down kids because they don't
Yeah.
want them to be able to think and they don't want them to be able to do the research.
No, that's right.
Everything's
And
instant.
yeah, and they're even doing that with chemicals, you know,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
stuff they do. So, and they do, it does, it blocks, it's like fluoride. They say fluoride puts a hard shell around your pineal gland, and your
Yeah.
pineal gland is how you communicate, how you connect to energy, you know, source
Yeah.
energy. So
Yeah.
The
yeah,
thing that's happening now, though, is that there's more of us than there is of them.
and people, yeah, exactly. That's right.
And they
And
can't
people are, sorry, Annie.
go on.
And people are like you said before about when you watch the news and you watch and you just feel people are starting to feel it now too. It's not just in their thinking, man, this isn't right. They're starting to feel it in their bodies. Like when you watch TV, Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 10, CNN, all these places, it's not, people aren't just thinking that it's wrong. They're feeling it.
Mm,
They're starting to feel it
mm,
in their bodies,
yeah,
and they just don't want to watch it. It's like watching a bad movie. You just don't want to. You just don't want to watch it. You know.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
No.
and it's But the funny thing is too, proof of that, Annie, is and Kerry, is that CNN, like their viewership has dropped something like 40%. There's
Yeah.
podcasts that have more viewers and more views in one podcast than CNN has in an entire day.
Yeah.
So people are just getting sick of it. They're getting sick of the
Yeah.
lies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, in a way, we shouldn't, I suppose, we might be, we suddenly disappear off stream, you'll know why.
Don't you have to say for entertainment purposes only?
For entertainment purposes only. Lockdown's
Exactly.
really backfired, right?
Sorry, Kerry?
Because lockdown's backfired.
Yeah.
Because people suddenly went, hang on a minute, I have been so busy that I've forgotten that I'm a human being and I just need to be and not a human doing. And as soon as people took a step back and started to just be, all of a sudden it's like, actually, this is what's important in life, my relationships, my family, what I'm actually enjoying and grateful for. You know, what is it that I value most? So I think it shifted a whole lot of things.
Yeah. The other thing it did was it cleared a lot of stuff because for a couple of years there wasn't a lot of pollution.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So a lot of the energy cleared during that time.
Yeah.
And things got cleaned up.
Yeah. And we're not meant to live the way we do. The world was created to come here and explore and find our gifts and our talents, because everyone's got their own gifts and everyone's got their own talents, but they've corrupted it and infiltrated it, so we can't concentrate on that. We're too busy trying to pay our bills and put food on the table. And you know, if we're lucky, most people have one day a week where they can actually chill out and discover themselves and discover their passions and discover their interest, you know. And yeah,
that's something, Paul, throughout, you know, as I watched the theme of your book, look, I really noticed that I thought it was great. You demystified the energy work and what that is by talking about, hey, here's the background. Here's scientifically how things can be tested and integrated. So people can start thinking about it from a different perspective. But also that how energetically connected we are, and that as co-creators, you really take people through some practical things that they can do once they recognize it, to integrate it and reclaim their power as a
Yeah.
co-creator. And I love that because it was in such easy terms to understand.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Kerry. But at the end of the day, with the book, like the main, and even in the shop when I talk to people, I'd like people to understand that what Annie said, it's too as well. It's not all this isn't woo woo fantasy island stuff. You know, it's true. It's real. It's the truth of who we are, and backing that up. For me personally, I don't need science, but that's good for me. And like, you know, I don't need it. I've always believed in what I've believed in, and no
Yeah.
one can tell me any different because that's just what I believe in.
Mhm.
But for me to explain it to other people that might be a bit skeptical, or they're very in the physical, you know, and they need a physical, grounded, down to earth explanation, you can't get much more down to earth explanation mainstream than science. You know, that's everyone looks to science to back up everything. And science is only a theory that they've said is fact. So like there is no such thing as 100% fact. It's a theory that has been turned into a fact. You know, so that's
Yeah.
what that was the main reason for the book and to have the shop, is to say to people, look, you're not a physical being. You're a soul having a physical experience, and you don't need to look outside of yourself to attract into your life the things you want to experience. And it doesn't mean we're not going to have challenges in life. Like we all have challenges, but sometimes Source can see where we want to go and what we want to do. And sometimes we need some extra tools in our tool belt before we get there. So when we get there, we can navigate that future in the most harmonious way. And sometimes Source gives us those tools through challenges.
Yeah.
That sometimes that's the only way we can gain those tools. And I've got a really good explanation about that, or example. You guys have probably heard of David Icke, or a lot of people have heard of David Icke, and he's like he goes down the road of who runs the world and all that side of things. But I remember him saying he was always really worried about what people thought about him when he first started on this journey, you know. And he got invited onto a mainstream television show because he was a professional soccer player, and he retired because of arthritis when he was really young. And he was invited onto this show, and he was trying to explain to the host and the audience what he had learned. And they basically just ridiculed him and made fun of him, laughed at him. And he said I was absolutely devastated. But he said, you know what? That's the best thing that could have happened to me, because it made me have the thickest skin, so I could go out in the world and do what I had to do. And I didn't care what anyone thought. I didn't give a shit what they thought. I was just going to share what I wanted to share. And if people wanted to ridicule me, go for it. So that experience gave him the thick skin he needed to do what he had to do in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes, like, we all have these challenges. And I was at a party today. I did a whole heap of readings. And to back up what you're saying, Paul, there was a young woman there. I broke the tissue budget today. Everybody was crying. But yeah, you're used to that. I work in your shop. But I said to her, I work out, because she said, you know, where are you? Where do you work? And I said to her, I work out of the Soul Cauldron every second Friday. And she said, I love that shop. I just love that shop. She said, I just need to walk through the door and I instantly feel better. And she said, I go there if it's like my happy place. And this kid's not got a lot of money. She's a single mom with a couple of kids, and she's not got a lot of money. But the fact that she can walk, like, I love coming. I have the same feeling. Like, I walk through that door and it's like, oh, this is lovely, you know. And I just wanted to share that with you, because I've been there so often when you have people in there that they're not necessarily buying anything, but they're there to have a chat. And they're there, and they're there because they're maybe a bit stuck. And I've
Yeah.
seen both you and Marina just having a chin wag, having a yarn.
Yeah.
And every single person that walks through your door feels valued and they feel heard. And
Yeah.
they always leave feeling better than they did when they walked in to a person. All of
Yeah.
them, every single one of them. I've also seen some of your kindness and generosity where you have some people that maybe are on the bones of their arse and not doing too well. And they come to your door and the petty cash box gets opened
Yeah.
and they get given a few dollars to maybe go and get a meal or whatever.
Yeah.
I've seen
A
that
couple of
as well.
bucks for a cup of coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you doing that too.
Well,
And
yeah.
it's Beck has just said that the soul cauldron is beautiful. And
Yeah.
what you're
Thank
talking
you.
about,
I was just about to put that up. Beck said earlier she loves coming into the soul cauldron. So there
yeah,
you go.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And Marina and I, oh, sorry.
The thing about that, I'll get back to you in a second, but the thing about that is that you and Marina have built the energy in that place. That didn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
And it's what
No.
you're saying about that everything is vibration. And when you walk into that shop, you actually feel the energy. Like even people who have not got a psychic bone in their body, as far as they're concerned, because everybody has. But
Yeah.
like don't do this stuff, don't believe in this stuff, or get tied up in this stuff. You just walk through the door of that shop, and they just go, huh. And I've seen like big, giant blokes with tattoos from their head to their feet, walking through that door, and
Yeah.
just going, huh.
Huh.
Like people that you wouldn't expect. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not just one of them. There's
No,
a
there's a
fair
few.
few of them. Yeah.
We've had
And it's
we've
like,
had prisoners from next door. Yeah.
yes.
Because next door is TERSA, the employment agency. So when prisoners get out of prison, every now and then they'll just come into the shop and have a bit of a chat, and they always say to me, oh well, not always, but a couple have said, "Aren't you interested in what I done?" And I said, "Well, you didn't do it to me, so not really." No,
Yeah.
I said, "If you
Fear
want to
factor.
share, then if you
Yeah.
want to share it, then yeah, that's fine." But I don't really, I'm not really interested. It
No
wasn't done to
judgment.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just no
yeah.
judgment.
So, but we're
But
really, yeah. Sorry, Kerry.
you've just made it such a special place.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
your book is just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, and Marina and I are really grateful because we really do get a lot of support, and yeah, and we've worked hard on because we're conscious beings, so we can sort of tune our vibration with our thoughts, and our emotions are the key. Our thoughts create our emotions, but our emotions are the things that that tune our energy and set dial our frequency in, like you were talking about before, to the frequency of the possibility that we want to experience into our lives. Because we've got to match the possibility, match the frequency of that possibility, and we do that through our emotions. Yeah,
That you were saying earlier that, and I think you've just explained it, it's how people can work with the energy
yeah,
on an individual level. And I think
yeah,
some of that is, can you expand a little bit on that?
yeah. So as far as manifestation goes, or the law of attraction, that's just from what I've learned. And I tell everyone I don't have all the answers. I just share what I know. And if it resonates with people, that's great. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. I just like to share what I've learned. But I don't have all the answers. But from what I have learned with manifestation and the law of attraction, so physicists even say that every single possibility you can think of for any situation already exists within the quantum field, or in spiritual terms, it would be in the mind of God. So you can also think of it like there's a constant flow of conscious energy always around us, just constantly flowing. And within this constant flow of consciousness is held infinite possibilities. And this is the thing: all those possibilities have their own energy frequency. So some scientists even say that we actually create those possibilities through the way we think. So when we have a thought, it's created within the mind of God in energy form, and it has its own energy signature. So when you think about something that you'd like to experience in life, that possibility is created with the frequency of happiness, joy, excitement, because that's what you're feeling when you're thinking the thought. So that's what that possibility is created with. That's the energy signature of that possibility, and that's the frequency it's broadcasting out. So for you to match that, what you have to do through your emotions is when you think about that, you have to think about it with the frequency of happiness, joy, and excitement, because that's the energy that that possibility was created from. So you have to match that frequency. But if you think about that possibility and the way we do it, see, sorry to jump around, but I just want to try and explain things so it makes sense. So the way thoughts project and emotions attract. So when you think about a possibility, you're grabbing hold of it, you're singling that possibility out from all the other infinite possibilities. You've singled that out by thinking about it. But then if you think about that possibility, but at the same time, you're thinking, oh, that'd be great, but that's not going to happen to me. Things like that only happen to good people and lucky people. And I'm not that lucky, you know. That emotion is creating a frequency that doesn't match the frequency that possibility was created from. But if you're thinking while you're thinking about that possibility, you're excited and you're thinking, man, I can't wait for this to come into my life. I'm so excited. And I know the universal wheels are in motion. It's just a matter of time before it turns up. And you don't have to think like that every second of the day, only when you're thinking about that possibility. And so then you flip the magnets and you're starting to create a magnetic attraction and a magnetic force that's matching the frequency of what that possibility was created from. So if you keep doing that, eventually it's going to show up in your life as an experience. And Source will do things like bring in opportunities, bring in new people that you meet. You might think those opportunities and those people have absolutely nothing to do with what it is that you want to experience. But if it's doing no harm to you or anyone else, and you take those opportunities and meet those people and talk to them, you don't know where that's going to lead. And that could be the path that the creator has made for you to get to where it is you want to go. So it's just a matter, everything, the whole key to everything is emotions. That's the key to it's the key to raising your frequency. It's a key to matching your frequency. And the best way to do that, from what I've learned, is to imagine that possibility as though it's already a present reality in your life. It's already happened in your mind. That possibility, you're already living it. When you meditate, when you imagine it, when you daydream about it as though it's already a reality in your life right now. And that's how you start to start with. It might feel like a lie, but after a while, you start to match your frequency to it. It might, it might take a few weeks, it might take a few months, it might take a couple of years, but eventually it'll show up because you've matched your frequency. It has to, like Albert Einstein said, if you match your frequency to the reality you want, you can't help but get that reality. And he said, this is not philosophy, this is physics. It has to show up eventually. But the problem is most people don't realize the truth of who they are. So they think they're not worthy, or they think they're not lucky, or that's only for the lucky people. And I've heard so many stories of wealthy people or abundant people, happy people, and you see documentaries. They grew up in poverty, but a lot of what they say is inside. I always knew one day and daydreamed one day that I would have all those things that I've got now, even though they were brought up in poverty. But inside them, they always felt it was natural for them to feel abundant and happy and
Mm.
joyful and fulfilled, and they knew one day that would show up for them, and it did, because they felt it.
We talk about this. This woman fired the best insult at me that I have ever heard in my whole entire life. What she did was she said, and she was miserable, and I've spoken about this before. She used to stomp with her head down and stomp, 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 stomp. She was so unhappy. And I used to say, good morning. And I think one day she never answered me. She just used to grunt. And one day she stopped me and she said, you make me sick. You just suffer from terminal happiness. And off she popped. And I thought, that's just incredible. Terminal happiness. I love it. I love it.
You know, what we say
everything
now, Eddie? Sorry, keep going.
Go on.
You know what Marina and I say now?
What?
When we have someone that's a bit not happy in the shop and they're being a bit difficult or whatever, and they walk out, you know, Marina and I say, off your pop with love and light.
There's all these Annieisms out there, Paul. Walk with your legs. Off your pop with love and light. Walk with your legs. Shoo, shoo, shoo.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, that attraction and emotion, you know, right down to if what you put out is what you get back. So if you're miserable and grumpy and bad tempered and mean, that's your vibration, and that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And these people that say, oh, I'm not lucky and nothing ever happens good, and that's what they're telling themselves. So nothing ever happens good. All they have in their life is drama and miserable people and pain and agony and all that shit. Just suffer from it. I wish terminal happiness was infectious, because I would give it to everybody. I could be a virus, a terminal happiness virus. That's what I could. When you're in that space of, you know, like the other thing that I think is really important in this is, see, when you're little, possibilities are endless.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you grow up, that's when you start putting limitations on your possibilities because of experiences. And that's where it hits, I don't deserve this, I'm not worthy, and all that crap comes in. But when you're little, there's no filter.
No.
And the possibilities are just endless. And one of the things why I suffer from terminal happiness is because if I see a rainbow, I'll stop. If Kerry sees a sunset, she's out there in it, immersed in it, taking pictures of it, sitting in it, and embracing it, enjoying it. You know, like I'm like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I think that's where we need to.
I think keeping that energy and remembering what it's like for that childlike enthusiasm. Like I will also do things like, if I'm driving home and there's a song that I really love that's on in the car, and I pull up and the song isn't over yet, I stay in the car until the song.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
I won't get out until it's finished.
That energy in that moment, you know.
And to add to that as well, when you start to understand the truth of who you are and the truth of how you operate in the world around you can be falling apart, but it doesn't affect you, because you know that you create the experiences you have in life. So it doesn't matter what the government's doing. It doesn't matter what this one's doing. It doesn't matter what that one's doing. Let them do it. You know, go for your life. But it doesn't affect you as much, because you know that you start to become conscious of what you think and the way you feel. And I'm not saying that, you know, everyone's 1,000% happy all the time. You know, we're all going to have challenging days, and we're still all going to have challenging moments. But the difference is, you don't stay in that emotion for as long as you used to. So I remember when I was younger, something used to piss me off, and I'd stay pissed off for weeks, even months. But now something will piss me off, and I'll stay upset for a few days at the most, you know, and then I'm out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And another thing to remember too is that scientists have said, they've measured it, that negative thoughts, positive thoughts and emotions are thousands of times more powerful than negative emotions. So for you to attract something negative into your life, you have to be focused on it for a long time with a lot of really, really negative energy for it to appear in your life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of society and the way we brought up, we mainly are focused on all the negative things, and
Well, that's
Yeah.
where they push us every single day. That's what Talia
Exactly.
was just saying.
Yeah.
That it has to be headline drama, headline drama.
Yeah.
They push us in that direction, which keeps us in that anxious, nervous energy. But there's
Yeah.
such a slight difference between being anxious and being excited.
Yeah.
We just got to flip that energy
Well,
and not let ourselves stay in it.
absolutely, yeah. And that's what they say. Fear and excitement are the same things. They're just a different way to look at it.
Yeah.
So when you're
Flip the
nervous
paradigm.
about something, yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
So
what if this happens? And instead of what if this happens and going down the possibilities of all the shit that could go wrong, what if
yeah,
that happens? And flip it. Because what gets in people's way is fear.
absolutely.
That's what, and the other thing that you were speaking about earlier with that football man is, what will people think? You get
Yeah.
to a point in your life where you think, I don't give a shit what people think.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Icke, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
do. You just get to that point where you think, well, that's their bubble and I'm in my bubble and I'll just stay in my little bubble.
yeah.
And I'm
And you'll
not going to
notice
let them affect me.
no, that's right. And you'll notice that sometimes when you fear something, like David Icke did, all of us do at some stage in our life. I believe we fear what people think of us, or are they going to make fun of us or ridicule us? But when you do fear something, I've noticed personally that the universal or source will keep bringing something into your life to make you feel that fear until you get over
Well,
yourself and say, okay,
not
I've learnt the
fear
lesson. Yeah, it'll keep bringing it in until, like David Icke said, that was one of my fears. But when I was completely and utterly ridiculed and made fun of on national TV, he thought to himself, well, what more can they do to me?
Do
And
you
that
know
just
that
gave him, yeah,
this is weird and it's a different analogy, but I've got a pathological fear of snakes. Like I used to just faint. I would just
yeah,
pass out. And I was at a fair, and over on the other side of the room, there was this lady with all of these snakes. And I'm looking at these snakes, and there's tiny little people playing with these bloody snakes. And I'm like, I'm going nowhere near that. And then sort of halfway through the day, I toddled over, and it was a beautiful yellow snake thing and slimy. Anyway, and I said to her, can I touch it? And she said, yes. Now I've got big long nails, so I did this. And I just did that and I touched it with my nail. And she said, woman, sit down, Indigenous women. And I looked at this Indigenous elder lady and I thought, well, I'm best be sitting down. And
yeah,
she plonked this snake on my lap. And she said, it'll just sit there until you relax. And I said, it'll die of old age waiting on me doing that. Now, what happened was I just gave in and I thought, this is what's the worst that can happen? Like I am now sitting with a snake on my lap and I've got pictures of me. This snake is here and I'm looking at it.
Mm.
yeah,
And she took so many pictures of me. Do you know how powerful and how brave you feel when you do that? And nothing
oh,
is ever
yeah,
as bad as you think it's going to be.
yeah,
You just create the
exactly,
drama in your head.
yeah,
And somebody up here face everything and feel everything and
Yeah.
rise.
Yeah,
yeah,
Veronica said that
Yeah,
before.
yeah. And
yeah,
when you do
absolutely.
that, all of a sudden it's not there anymore. And you
It's not a
just
fear
like
anymore.
I was like,
Mhm.
look at me go, look at and I show people these pictures. Look at me, look, I've got a
Yeah.
snake.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
And once you're over it,
yeah, and that's when you turn a fear into an asset.
yeah, yeah.
So a
And
fear, you don't just get rid of that fear; you turn it into an asset.
yeah. People project in their head though, and they think about, if I do this, all the negatives that can happen.
Yeah.
And that's what blocks them and stops them. Whereas if they thought, I'll just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Like I had Kerry knows this lady. I had the best manager in the universe. She was a nurse educator. And I used to do these absolutely stupid things, you know, and I would ring her up and I would say, this is what I've done, Karen. And she would say, did anybody die? And she would say, we'll fix it. And it didn't happen. When you're treated like that, it takes all the fear away.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
And even,
did anybody die? No. Are you dead? No. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll sort it.
Yeah.
And it just negates any panic or chaos, you know?
Yeah.
And it gives you the space to do that.
And even if you do die, you don't really die. So
Nah, it doesn't matter. You're just going to move on.
That's it. You just change from one form to another. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Talia's frightened of chickens.
Yeah.
Chickens are truly terrifying. Oh, bless you.
Well, I can understand that because they can be nasty little buggers.
These are even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mirani says we become our own worst enemy. And we do.
And we
But
do.
we get in our own way.
Yeah,
we do get in our own way.
Yeah, our only object in life ever is our own mind. Yeah, it's nothing outside of us. It's always, sometimes we perceive it as something outside of us, but from what I've learned, it's always in your, it's your own mind that's your worst enemy. It's you know, yeah. So
well, Mr. Paul, thank you so much for being with us.
oh, thank you. It was amazing.
We could actually talk about this all night.
All night.
And I know that you do have other topics.
I do, yeah.
Getting you while I've got you.
Yeah.
Paul is also on Rumble. Knoxy.
It's Knoxy, KNOXIE 404.
And he's doing podcasts on
404.
Rumble.
Yep.
And Facebook.
And
I haven't done not Facebook, sorry. Rumble and YouTube, but I haven't really done a lot on there yet.
Yeah.
I want to do more, but yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
And go back through the chat, guys. I've dropped links to Amazon where you can purchase his book.
Hold it back up. Energy.
And also links to the website for the Soul Cauldron and also their Facebook page, so you can follow them there. And if you're near Ipswich, pop into the Soul Cauldron and you can meet Paul and his beautiful wife, Marina, there. Feel the energy yourself. You'll love it.
And he'll sign your book for you. Mine is signed because I'm special.
That's why I'm not allowed to write in it or put notes in the margins or do anything. Naughty. It was only on loan.
I'm going to get her one of her own.
Can I just read the back of the book for people? I should have probably done this right at the beginning, but it just gives you that. And Paul, thank you so much for taking us more into a deep dive into those individual concepts. But the full book is an awesome, awesome read. So guys, it says here, if you are skeptical but open-minded about being able to experience in the physical what you dream of in the ethereal, if you secretly wish that the mysterious and mystical were real, and for you who still have a bit of magic in your hearts but wish it were true in the world, this book is for you. And I 100% agree. It brings together the science, the theology, the bit of the woo-woo, right? And bringing it all together, and it's an absolutely great read. And I'm so honoured to have you here tonight, Paul, with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful you invited me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
really enjoyed it.
to come on.
And
Talia and Beck are going to come into the shop tomorrow.
Yep.
Tuesday. We're closed Mondays.
Oh, the closed Monday, Talia. Tuesday.
Yep. Tuesday.
It's his day off tomorrow because we've kidnapped him tonight. He needs to lie down and have a tea in a bed.
I'll come on anytime. Anytime you guys want me on, I'm there.
And everyone's sending you congratulations on the book as well,
Thank you.
Paul. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's really good. So, Annie, are we going to do a quick card draw for the collective?
Sure.
If you missed Annie's reading for June, it was a really good one. Go back and watch that either on our YouTube channel or on the Facebook page.
Gail, they are open on the weekends. They're open on Saturdays. Paul, what are your hours on Saturdays?
9 till 2 Saturdays and Tuesday to Friday 9 till 4.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, peeps.
Oh, sorry. And we've just started opening till 6 Thursday nights.
How many cards are we pulling, Kerry?
Whatever you are drawn to pull. Shall I go?
Go for your life.
I got drawn to actually grabbing the angel cards out tonight. So, of which I've just pulled two. That's over the front of it. I'll read you what it says, then I'll show you. The first one that came out was the unknown. Do not fear the unknown. This is a time of deep exploration and transformation. Unfamiliar territory leads to new horizons. And that's a lot about what we were talking about, learning that energy, connecting with that energy and not going with the fear. So that's the first card. And the second one is achievement. Take a little time to reflect on what you have achieved to date. It is often easy to forget where you started from and how far you've come. Honor and be grateful for this extraordinary journey that is your life. And I think that's important too, because that puts you into the vibrational energy for the things that bring you joy, happiness, and guide you on your passions. So you can't make this up when it just drops out like that, but they just covered the two main energy areas that we wanted to touch on tonight. Over to you.
Broken open. Now look at this card. That's where we were tonight. We were going up through that corridor of light. Up above her head is the energy and that corridor of light. And I think when we were talking about Paul's book and how it's timely, I think this is what's happening. I think the old structures are falling to pieces because the real stuff we're remembering, and it's all becoming broken open. And the next one, my favorite card in this pack, Awakening Genius.
Yes.
Now we are all, Paul said it, everybody has their own special gifts. And some of us have chosen to cultivate them. And some of you have got too busy and forgotten. And it's a time of remembering. And it's a time of, and what's interesting here too, is this is an Indian. This is the ancient ways that are coming back. So it's like the collective energy is waking up and we're all remembering. And what that does to us is it creates roots of abundance. And for me, this card at this point in time is saying that thought of abundance, I don't deserve it, I'm not worthy, that's kind of been drummed into us by society. It's like you got to work your ass off to get things. Now I think that awakening is saying, no, it's not about that. It's about assuming that the abundance is there, whatever abundance is to you. And abundance isn't necessarily money. Abundance is joy and happiness in your life. Abundance is family and friends around you. Abundance is just probably having enough to eat and not wanting or needing a whole pile of shit that you don't need to prove that you're valuable. You are a valuable person. You are part of the consciousness. You're part of this whole collective, you know, and don't get in your own way. Talia up there said, I don't like the unknown. How do you know? Because you don't know what it is, you silly girl. The unknown is so exciting. So many possibilities. You know, you can't not like something that you don't know. Go there and you'll be surprised.
So Paul, would love to invite you back again another time because there's so many other topics we can talk to you about.
I'd love
And you're
to.
so fascinating. Who said before? Someone said before in words of wisdom from Paul. And I think that's every conversation I've ever had with you.
Oh, you guys too. You got so much knowledge.
Everybody
Absolutely.
has little bits, Paul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
like Kerry said,
we all come at it from a different angle. But when we all get together, we're all learning and teaching.
absolutely.
I'll
And like
come
Kerry
at you,
said,
girl.
yeah. Like Kerry said, we all know on a soul level.
Yeah,
All of us know this. It's just
yeah,
it's a thing of remembrance, like Kerry was
yeah.
saying.
yeah. It's all about
Absolutely, yeah.
remembering who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you to every one of you for joining us again tonight. For anyone who's arrived late or has missed this, please go back and see the replay because it's really super interesting information that Paul was sharing with us tonight. So don't miss out on that. And Annie and I are going to be up in Harvey Bay in a couple of weeks. So reach out to Annie on Celtic Tarot. If you're in that area and you want to come along, we've got a workshop day and we've also got private readings available and also the sound bed healing. So that's all exciting as well.
There's a psychic fair or an opening. It's more an opening at the Old Flour Mill on Friday night, this coming Friday, the 6th of June.
Yeah.
And it's from, Paul, what's the times?
Oh,
6
I wish
o'clock
Marina
till-
was here. She knows.
6 o'clock till 8 o'clock.
till 8, I think.
I think
5
it's
till
6.
8.
Yeah,
Or
5
6
o'clock
to
till
8.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing readings there, 15-minute readings. So if you're interested and want to pop in for a quick reading, there's a lot of the spaces are going to be open. There's a couple of beautiful shops downstairs as well. It gives you the opportunity to pop in and meet Paul and Marina. You can say hello to me while you're in there. So that's Friday the 6th from, I think it's 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock.
I think, yeah.
Or 5 o'clock till 8
this,
o'clock.
This Friday coming.
Yeah, this Friday coming. So if you're in this area, pop in and you can buy all these beautiful shiny things.
And
let me lead you astray.
Yeah.
There's actually some really cool shops in the flour mill. So
yes, there are.
It's not just us in the old flour mill. There's some really cool shops and other services. Yeah, it's a really cool.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah,
it's really old. And
It
it's
likes
really
the old
beautiful.
architecture and the ornateness of the architecture and the character and the energy of the buildings. It's beautiful, beautiful place to go.
I'm a bit biased, I think, but I think it's probably the nicest building in Australia, in Ipswich. I think, yeah.
I think so too.
Maybe Australia. Yeah.
Oh, Marina's come on Friday night, 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock. Thank you,
yeah.
Marina.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Marina.
Keeping you right, Paul.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being with
organised
us. We love and appreciate you. If you've enjoyed this, Beck says, I'm not bringing my purse. You don't need your purse. Just bring your tippy-tappy card. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a good couple of weeks until we're back again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Paul.
much, Paul.
Great,
Good
Paul.
night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Buy his book. Buy his book.
Yeah.
And he whispers secrets in the night, mystical visions taking flight. Carrie's got that angel glow so bright, guiding through the dark to the light. Tarot cards spread on the cosmic rug, healing power in a gentle hug. Meditation's deep like an ancient grove, finding peace through the stars above. Mind, body, spirit, soul, we rise. Angel feathers within the dark. Messages from angels clear and true, whispering love in all we do. Psychic development strong and wise, open paths to mystic skies. Mind, body, spirit, soul, we rise. Angel feather